All right, so I'm not sure when you guys are going to see this, but in real time, it's Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock. I took the day off because it was a 4-day weekend for me, and I wanted to be able to spend as much time outdoors as humanly possible. I also wanted to document that my gecko is still missing, and I have no idea where he is, and I've looked for him everywhere, and he's probably hiding under the couch somewhere, but I can't find him. Anyhow, with that said, let's get in with start with our cold intro. The economy is not broken. Cheap labor is just not cheap enough. You ever wonder how much they don't like paying people? Like payroll is one of the Achilles heels of all people who have to pay people in order to be rich. In their opinion, all labor should be free. If we could switch over to a prison labor model in America, we would be there already. Because if you ever look at things that are made in America, more than likely they're made by prison labor. When I worked at Walmart, it was something that fascinated me that everything was made in China, right? And then suddenly we can't get those same cheap Chinese goods anymore. And the economy starts to break, right? It's not doing well right now at all. People are spending far less. People need things that they can't get. Small business owners are going out of business because they relied to China to be the world sweatshop. But when you change that around and you want that cheap, that same level of manufacturing, but you want to do it at home, and then you wonder why no one wants to do that job. It's the same thing with agriculture. There are industries where no one wants to do that job. And unless you chain people up and force them to do it, they will not do those jobs because they're hard and they're very poorly paid. There's a reason why people come from the armpit of the world in order to work in those jobs because there truly isn't any sort of opportunity where they're from. Remember, I come from a background where I grew up without running water and electricity. My family were corn farmers for as many generations as it took for us, for my family to wherever they came from. I have no idea of the origins of my family. I didn't have any sort of relationship with my mother, and I didn't really meet any other family members. So my origin story is kind of just vague memories of my growing up taking a shower with a metal bucket next to the well. So I understand why people leave. Anything's better than taking a cold shower in the middle of winter with well water. Still remember it to this day, and it still chills my bones. And it's that kind of desperation that America's corporations want to create among its workers. Now, instead of having that guy picking your fruits and vegetables, they want Gen Z with a liberal arts degree to take that job. And when Gen Z says no or looks at you and laughs in your face, you're going to pay me $20 to do what? And corporations are like, well, it's always worked before. You got to create a severe desperation among educated people in order to get them to devalue their own labor. And again, the motto has always been minimum wage, minimum effort. And then when these people show up and they behave like that, you wonder why they're so ungrateful. I've heard so many business owners say, well, you're lucky to have a job. Oh, really? Is that what every corporation says when they're downsizing jobs in retail? Because their sales aren't great? Because no one can afford to buy their products? And everyone is wondering how long this is going to last. It's not a sustainable program. And any normal, rational person would understand that there are certain jobs our society has moved past. And manual labor jobs for Americans is kind of, you have to create the atmosphere in order to get people to take those jobs. We all know that the unemployment rate in this country is a big lie. There's no way that unemployment is at 4%. You'd have to be stupid beyond belief to believe that America has a 4% unemployment rate. Just look outside. Mello this morning messaged me. She sent me a picture with a homeless guy who apparently looked like he was doing some sort of yoga on the side of the street while he was freezing. And I just looked at that and I'm like, where is this? Like, because I I went to go get a sub in that general area of Phoenix, and I mean there were homeless people in every direction. You couldn't look in a direction without seeing homeless people. And you like just on my drive back home, I was at the salon earlier, and drove to I drove to the salon. I was at where was I? I was oh yeah, I had to go look at after the salon. I went to go to discount tires because my tires on my car are actually cracked. I hadn't even noticed that the sidewalls on my tires are actually cracked because they've gotten to that age. So the guy at the store is like, "Yeah, you need new tires," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know." And I told him the model of tires that I wanted, and he just looked at me like, "You probably can't afford that." Anyhow, I am off on a tangent. Let's get back. Let's oh god, what's that term I keep hearing that Gen Z keeps using? Let's get back into it. No. God, it'll come to me and as soon as I'm done making this video. But she says it so much, this certain YouTuber that I watch, that I get annoyed by hearing this term. I think it's like let's let's take control, or let's something to that effect. That it's really obnoxious, and my brain is choosing actively to not remember it. All right, talking point number one: economic insecurity increases labor compliance. When survival is uncertain, resistance becomes a luxury few can afford. When was the last time you showed up at a job interview where you really wanted the job? Where the interviewing people, usually it's a small group of people, at least for the type of job interviews that I go into, and they each ask you a question from a set of random questions that they usually print out for each other. And that you just look at them and you're like, do you really think that I'm in this job interview because I think it's good for me? No. You're there literally begging for a job and willing to say anything that's going to get you the job. And that kind of desperation, they're both looking for it, and at the same time, they're waiting to hear certain key terms or the way that you're going to respond. Because once you're okay, so I heard this woman who took a job as a advertising manager. She saw the job posted on Indeed. She applied to it. She got the job, and then she showed up, and suddenly she was cleaning the bathroom. She was doing other duties as assigned. And for people who think that you're just going to get one job in today's America, no. You're going to get a job that includes whatever they want, whatever you're doing, you're going to have to do extra stuff. And you're going to ask yourself, but this job pays less than $20 an hour. How could they possibly ask me to do all these things? And because they know that your options are limited, or else you wouldn't have applied to that job. Or when at the end they tell you, this job is no overtime, it's $30,000 a year, and you have to make yourself available 7 days a week. And you ask yourself, is that for real? Are you really telling me that that this is all that you can offer? And then you are disgusted with people's attitude in the job interview when they just look at you and they walk out, or they come to work the first day and then they don't come back. Or even worse, or they accept the job and they never show up to it because they found something better in the meantime. Because I've seen that so many times happen where they apply to the desperation job, right? But something less terrible comes along, something that they can stomach. And so they take that job. And even though they spent all this time getting ready, running all the checks, and finally coming back, they just decide that, you know what? This isn't good for me. They decide that they'd rather do anything else. They'd rather punch themselves in the face over and over again rather than take that job. And why is that? Because labor compliance is necessary in order for the machine to continue moving. When people think, when you start getting sick, when you start thinking about a job, chances are your body, your mind, your spirit. I mean, I was walking with one of the guys at Taco Bell yesterday, and he looks at me and he says to me, and this guy doesn't know who I am, right? This guy doesn't know anything about me other than he's that guy that sits in that room, right? And he looks at me and he says, "You know what? This job crushes your soul." And I was just like, whoa, that's a regular, average, run of the mill management kind of person. And he said that to me. And I just kind of looked at him like, uh-oh, the you know, if things are looking this bad for a guy that's pulling down, I'm gonna say about $180,000 a year easily in a good year, and he's saying that. What are the chances of the person who's working for $20,000 a year? How is that person feeling? I'm telling you this, it's probably not good. So let's get into talking point number two. Political participation is encouraged only insofar as it doesn't disrupt capital flow. Voting is symbolic because if it mattered, they wouldn't let poor people go near it. I mean, what happened the last time that this country voted? We had the option between the most unpopular vice president in history or a a cartoon villain. And when people don't show up to vote for a very unpopular candidate, well, you've decided that your default choice is it's whatever's happening right now. Pure, unadulterated chaos in the streets. And that's not even hyperbole. Just look at it, Minneapolis right now. That to me, it's like I look at that turning into Iran very easily, where you're going to start having people where they have a machine where they string you up for having a different opinion. And we've already seen that shooting protesters with anything, right? Even if you were shooting them all with a candy gun, is still not good. If you were shooting everyone with cotton candy in the street, it still looks bad. It's still not right. So, but these people, these are the same people who chose not to go and what's the word? F around and find out. And that's what America's feeling right now. We decided that we were going to take another, we were going to have another date with a prom queen that we didn't enjoy the first time. So we thought, you know what? Let's give Susie Rottencrotch another chance. Let's see what happens this time. And then you open your door and you look outside and like, what the heck happened here? I don't know why there's people walking around outside my house. Hopefully they go away. Anyhow, completely off track. Sorry, there's stomping outside my front door and I'm not sure why. Anyhow, let's get into talking point number three. The system doesn't require belief, only participation. Cynicism does not threaten stability as long as bills are paid on time. We all know what happens when you don't pay the rent on time, right? Whether you lose your job, you're not making enough money, or in general, you don't have two jobs and one of them involves doing some sketchy things with your pants around your ankles at a Taco Bell, right? Well, eviction comes fast, living paycheck to paycheck, literally from hand to mouth, like I've been doing since early November, since the holidays started. It's a lifestyle, but you don't pay your bills on time, and guess what happens? Your life slowly gets worse than it already is. Why? And because labor participation isn't it isn't something that you can just decide that you don't want to do. No one wants to wake up Monday morning at 8 a.m. and go back to wherever you're going to go back that you wish you didn't have to go to. But at the same time, people keep telling you to be grateful for having that job because things get bad really, really fast for people who are living paycheck to paycheck when they miss just one paycheck, or your hours get cut, or you're just not making enough. In fact, I was just talking to this little Asian girl at the salon, and she was telling me about her boyfriend who ironically works at Walmart. And she said that he texts her and he tells her all the time how awful it feels to have to work there. And I just looked at this girl and she's probably like 5 feet tall, really tiny. And I'm like, I know, I know what it feels like to work Walmart. I still have my vest in the closet. I saw it this morning when I was looking for my gecko. And she's just like, I don't understand why people don't like working there that much. It is a nightmare job that only the most desperate people in the world would ever work there. And then I was telling her about working for Kroger's for a few months before I went back to school in 2008, and how people would literally come up to you and ask you if you were a stupid person. And if that's the question they wanted to know, why are you working here? I heard that I heard that question nearly every day for every every low paying job that I've ever had. Why do you work here? People ask me that to this day. Why do you work here? And you're like, well, the position of CEO happened to be filled. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit here and I'm going to wait for that position to come open again, because that's really the job that I wanted. But I'll get there, right? No, you'll never get there. The chances of an ordinary person ever making it into the C-suite, it's like a rich person getting into heaven. Really, it's that terrible. More than likely, if your aptitude has put you into the store's parking lot, pushing carts, whether it's hot or cold, it shows that you are not the best interviewer, you are not the best candidate, and you never will. And the worst part is you could have a college degree. In fact, I just had this conversation. I was over at the 48th Street and Baseline Kroger's, and I just had gotten off the trail and I wanted something really light to eat. No carbs, just something really, really light to eat. So I bought a chicken breast. And the guy behind the counter, abnormally bright, right? And I told him, he's like, oh, we're in between shift changes. Give me a few minutes to get ready. I'll be right with you. And then he comes back and he's talking to me. And it's like, man, I know. I've worked here before. I know what it's like between shifts, between people coming and going and then getting ready at your register, whatever you're going to be doing. There's a changing of the guard at every single retail place. And then he said, yeah, it's like, yeah, I used to work here. No, I worked at the one on Southern and Rural. That's the location where I worked at. And he just looks at me and it's like, yeah, that's the one that I shop at, because I went to ASU. And I said to him, it's funny. Before I went to ASU, I was pushing shopping carts in that parking lot because I had just lost my job because of the 2008 financial crisis where everyone pretty much lost their job. Luckily, they gave me 6 months, and I think it was a 6 month warning, and then they gave me a year of severance. Yeah, it was a year of severance, and then they gave me I think like $12,000 up front for me to leave quietly. And so I spent the next 2 years going to community college. It was great, right? I love community college. And then after that, I ran out of classes to take at community college. So I went back to the university and I stayed there until, well, until I finished university. And then I went from working at Fry's on one side of the street to working at Walmart on the other side of the street. It's hilarious. You graduate from one retailer only to go to the other retailer. The irony isn't lost on this employee. It's like, really, that happened to you? It's like, dude, look at yourself. Do you think you have great opportunities? You think a person with your intelligence level working in the deli at Kroger's is an accident? No, this happens to people. And sometimes it doesn't discriminate. Sometimes these jobs, like the girl that I was talking to at the salon, she said, I feel so sorry for those people that have to work at Walmart that are disabled and they're seniors. And I was just like, they're people too. They're people who, like us, 40% of Americans right now, according to a couple of different surveys that I've seen, show that these people aren't saving for retirement. I'm not. Where would I save money for retirement from? I'm literally broke. And so you wonder, it's like, well, what are we going to do? Every time you look at an old person working in retail, imagine yourself being that person if you're not saving money. And with the cost of living right now, I don't see the ability to save money among any people. And you know what's another thing she said to me? And again, she doesn't know anything about who I am, or I don't talk to people about this channel because they always ask, "Oh, what's the name of your channel?" And I'm like, I don't like associating myself with this. So she said to me, "It's the look in their eyes," is what she said to me. Those people that work at Walmart, and that's an ordinary person, a person of above normal attractiveness, and Japanese on top of it. So yeah, when ordinary people are looking at each other and saying things like that, again, the soul crushing thing from the guy at work yesterday, and a complete stranger that I've never seen in my entire life is telling me what it's like to live with someone who works at Walmart. Anyhow, I digress. Let's close out before it gets too long. This concludes today's update. Conditions will continue to deteriorate. No increase in salaries are available. And remember, it's your fault when your bank account is empty because you didn't try hard enough to be rich. Remember, every time you want to blame society, go look in the mirror and blame that guy for the fact that you have no money.